That's good. My name is Velinda Wilkerson. I just had a birthday. I'm 47 years old, and I was born in Martin, Florida, small town, the city of Ocala, but the town Martin, Florida. That's how I grew up. My mother, Josephine Nichols Wilkerson, and Grant Wilkerson Jr., that's my mother and father. And siblings, I have 16 brothers and sisters. I'm the 12th child of my parents. I was raised in a big home, but I was raised in a Christian home. My father is a preacher, a pastor, apostle. I had two loving parents that took very well care of us, and we grew up very close. And I have a close relationship with my father and with my mother, which has passed away. But I have a very close relationship with my family. We're very helpful towards one another, and the way that our parents brought us up, that's the same. We're the same. I just remember, because I still am, but I just remember playing outside. I love playing outside. I like to play all sports. I had no sport that I really disliked, and I would get up early in the morning. I would get my chores done, because you can't skip over that, because mama coming to get you from out the yard. So I just remember, gathering up my sisters and brothers, and, gathering up my cousins from down the street. Whole neighborhood full of cousins, siblings, uncles, aunts, my grandparents. And we was a small village in Martin, Florida. But Rochelle was a very close cousin of mine. Otis was a very close cousin of mine. We lived on an acre, and grandparents lived back behind us in across the field, which was walking distance. And so we mostly played all the games in our yard. Talking about at least 20 people at a time, because you have to count us, probably at least 10, and then the other 10 was close cousins. Both of my grandparents I was close to, but grandma, for one, I was very close to her, and I really didn't know how close I was to grandma until she got sick. And then when she passed, I remember still going to her house, and halfway there, my mama told me, she said, "Velinda, I saw you going through the path." She said, "I was looking out the kitchen window," and she said, "I said to myself, now that girl done forgot her grandma not up there no more." And when I came back home, she grabbed me, because I was weeping and crying, because I was so used to going to my grandma's house pretty much almost every day. I probably was in 12th when grandma passed away, to be honest with you. I had started driving and things like that. Now, I was one that went into my grandma's house every day after school, just verbatim. I went there, and I would help her do chores. I would comb her hair. Sometimes I wash her back if she want to take a bath before I leave. She liked me to wash her back. And so I started getting busy in life. You get those licenses, and you go in here and there. You get other friends and things like that, start attaching to things in this world. And I must have missed 3 days from going to see grandma. And one day I came home, and my mom, she said, "Velinda," she said, "your grandma called." And I said, "Grandma called?" I said, "What's wrong, Mom?" She said, "Nothing's wrong with grandma." She said, "But grandma called," but she said, my grandma called my mom on the phone, and she said, "Bonnie," that's my mom's nickname. She said, "Where is Velinda?" So she said, "Oh, Mama, she's not here right now." She said, "Well, is she sick?" And my mama said, "No, she's not sick." She said, "Oh, okay." She said she hadn't been to my house in 3 days. And that's how much I knew then, how much my grandma loved me and loved my company. She called to check on me, thinking maybe something, I was sick or something like that or whatever. And because I hadn't been there in 3 days. And I got up there to grandma's house, and we talked and laughed and watched the same shows. That's how I took to watching the stories, which after my grandma got sick and wasn't able to live in her house on her own and things like that, and after she passed, I didn't even watch the stories no more. I made a lot of friends in school. I didn't make too many enemies, but I did make a lot of friends. I wasn't one to just bother someone, but don't bother me too much, because I'm gonna get you. So that's the way that went. But yes, my best friend some of my cousins was already my best friends because we just had each other back. But one of my elementary school best friends that stood out to me was Mandy Ender. I never forget my friend Mandy Ender. Even to this day, we speak to one another. Not a whole lot, but there's just friendship in between that. And I had another friend, Trish Collins. She was a good friend of mine. I had a lot of friends. I can't name them. I was called Piggy because I like to eat. And when you find me, sometimes if I'm not playing outside now, because I will go burn it off. Now, that was one thing about me. I'm going to burn it off. And that's probably why I ate a lot, because I would burn it off. I enjoyed high school. I really didn't even care about dating, to be honest with you. But sometimes you get attached to people because they aggravate you enough, I guess. Other than that, I wasn't a person that really cared. I wasn't boy crazy like that. I just wanted to go to school and have fun. Some of my friends were guys, but guy friends. And I enjoyed being around them because there was no fussing and bickering and things like that, how girls do. But I really didn't care a whole lot about that. I didn't care if I really didn't date anyone. But I did. I did date someone in high school, I don't know, maybe a year or so or whatever like that. Nice guy. Got along to a degree, but, then things just move on. That's when you're young, you date, and then, I did learn, and yes, because when you get involved with someone, it does affect the rest of your life, but not to a degree wherein it hindered me or anything like that. But life lessons teaches you anyways. If you don't learn anything from life, you are not living. 9th grade, my friend Brian Brown, he died. He was my friend ever since elementary school. And I think that was the first schoolmate that I remember from elementary school all the way up into high school. And when you have a classmate, from kindergarten, that's like a brother to you because you've been knowing them for so long. And in 9th grade, he got sick. He had like headaches or something like that. I can't get all into that because I don't remember it all. But I know he was having headaches or something like that. And I remember him sitting next to me one day in 9th grade. I don't think we had long got in 9th grade either. And I remember him telling me one day he had a headache. And then I didn't see him in school for a little while or something. And anyways, he passed away. And that was my first time experiencing someone that close to me die in school, which he died in high school. I think we were in the 9th grade. That bothered me a lot. I attended the funeral. It was a lot of us there. There is no way I was gonna not go to that funeral. And I remember just crying and crying because I just felt heartbroken, been knowing the person since kindergarten. But that was an effect. But I got through it and got over it and everything.
Did you understand death at that time?
I did not understand death really at that time. It was almost like a why. He wasn't supposed. In my mind, it was like he wasn't supposed to die. He was a kid. Like kids don't supposed to die. But knowing what I know now, anybody can die. Then some of my teachers affected my life a big way. I remember Miss Hubbard. I loved her. She was my math teacher, and I would talk a lot in school. I even know that what number 7 meant on the conduct. Number 7 is excessive talking. I always got number 7. Number 7 was my friend, excessive talking. So 11th grade at the time, I'm gonna speak on 11th grade because I remember he was a coach, but he was also our teacher, and they assigned him to help us pass the SAT or whatever those test is that they grade you on. They assigned him to help those that needed to pass it. We did a lot of praying in my class, and my friends knew that I knew how to pray. So we would pray in that class. He would help us study. He made it so fun. And then he would do practice tests with us, and we'll go over and over and over it. And then sometimes he'll say, all right, this relax day, we'll just watch a movie just to get our mind off of it. Then we go back at it. And then we would pass those tests that he would give to us. It's like our head was on the chopping block. Like we needed to pass this in order for these people to give us our diploma. So all of us passed that test. I mean, that was like a miracle from heaven. And I also even remember being in school different times, whether 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade. I used to call home because I struggled with math, you know, like English and science and spelling and all that, other classes. I used to go up to the office. I used to can I call my mom? So I would go up to the office, and Miss Williams, she knew why I was coming, which was fine with her. I get on that phone, I say, Mama, can you pray for me? I was like, because I need to pass this math test. My mama, she'll pray. And she'll pray. And she said, now you go back to that class and you pass that test. I hang up that phone, I go back to that class. But I passed those tests.
Faith.
And yes, it was faith. Without works is dead. So I knew who to go home and I knew who to go and call in the office. So that's what I did, and that's how I passed a lot of my math. Aisha Quanton Jackson. Yes, that's my friend still to this day. We met under other circumstances, but we locked in, and she is still a friend to this day. We can go months without talking, and when we catch up, it's just like yesterday. It's another big part of my life coming up. She was my second mom to my mom. People used to think she was my mom, but no, that was my sister. But she's 10 years older than me, and she said she took me under her wing when I was born. And Mama didn't have to do a whole lot with me. I stuck with her. When I use the word good friend, you have to know who you are. And one thing that was always told about me, and it's still being said to this day, is loyalty. I extend loyalty and honesty to people, even if it come off maybe harsh. I don't mean that way, but that's how you can keep people around for a long time. That you grew up with is because of loyalty. And just being honest, you know, with yourself and with others. You know? I was on the sassy side. So I told my mama, I don't want to go to college. I'm gonna just get this diploma, and that's all I'm doing. But when I was a child, I used to always say, and I know my family, they remember this. I used to say, I'm gonna be a PE teacher when I grow up, because I just like to be outside. I just like to play and stuff like that. So one thing I did say, I said I wanted to be a PE teacher. The other one, I told my sister Kilmer that I'm gonna become rich by selling lemonade. I don't even.
The PE teacher wasn't the lemonade. That's like some good lemonade. What you got in that lemonade?
I think because back in the days, you know how they be showing stuff where kids be having the lemonade stand. So I was just like, I'm gonna get rich. I'm gonna sell lemonade. So stupid.
That lemonade coming from.
But anyhow, child, I didn't get no lemonade stand. But I'm known to be a hustler. That's one word that my family has named me. In I think 12th grade, my friend Aisha, I think I was already working at some place. I don't remember. She called me one day. She said, Velinda, she said, this such and such place is hiring. And she worked there, but she worked in the kitchen. It was at an assisted living facility. And I was like, girl, I don't want to work around the old people. And she was like, no, you can do, it's more than one thing to do. So I was like, I don't want to do laundry either. And applied there, and I became a resident aide. So we was just sitting there one day, and we were going through the classifieds, and I saw this ad for college, Webster College, and to be, you know, nurse or medical assistant and things like that. And I was like, I think I want to go to school. Yes, I was out of school 4 months. I was working on the job about that long. And so I went home that day, just ambitious, just excited. And I was like, Mama, I want to go to college. My mama turned around. She said, you want to do what? I said, I want to go to college for medical assistant. I want to do this right here. And my mama said, oh, Lord. She said, are you sure? Because you told me. I said, Mama, things change. And my mama did not back down. She was excited about it. Said, well, when your sister get home from school, you talk to her about it, and y'all will go down there and figure out what you need to do. And my mom and my sister did just that. They encouraged me, and I went to Webster College. It took me 17 months. I went straight through it. Matter of fact, college was easier than high school. But I zoomed right through those classes. I made good grades, and I got my AS degree. And I've been in the healthcare field ever since. Fast forward, I met my husband I think it was in 1998. I was 21 years old. I was with my girl cousin, my favorite cousin, Kayla Wilkerson. I stopped by her house that evening because I would drive through there on my way home. And we were in the room laughing and talking, and she was like, Velinda, can you take me such and such and such? And I took her at the park. He was at the park with someone else. And that's how I met him. Well, time had passed, and he was still trying to get my actual number, because I wouldn't give it to him because I still live with my parents. And like I said, I'm a PK kid. My dad is a preacher, and I didn't have no cell phone at the time. So if you wanted my number, you really wanted my parents' number. And so he said he knew of us, but I didn't know him. Well, after I started liking him, after a couple of months of him pursuing, we started dating. After a couple of months, and the laughing and talking is what I think won me over. So I wasn't out seeking for anybody or an attachment. So I think that's why it took me a couple of months, because the way that we grew up, we were sheltered and things like that, and we watched our surroundings, and I didn't want to just be attached to, anybody. So, but anyway, so we dated for 15 months before I got married, and a lot of things happened in between there. He was 8 years older than me when I met him. He was 8 years older than me, and that was a while to me, because he didn't look like he was that much older than me. So when I met him, he already had 3 kids at the time, I think 3, and later on he had another child. And then after we got married, and we had 2 children together, 2 girls. We're not still together. I've been single for almost 7 years now. I was married for 17 years. I got married March of 2000. And we were together 17 years. We had 2 daughters. They're 40 years apart. Kelvis and Kalani, I thank God for them. I was young when I got married. I was 23 when I got married. Young, naive, didn't know the world, wasn't out there and about like that. Didn't know a lot of things that my husband at the time knew. But there was a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of differences between us. We grew up differently. And just I knew deep down inside I had a different path in life for myself. I'm a person that sometimes I can see and feel things that I even want for myself before it even happened. Well, that's the thing, I wanted better. And not saying I had all awful bad days, because I didn't. I think if every day was awful, my God, come on, help me. I got a divorce June 2017. Prior to my children dealing with it, I had to deal with it. I had to come to terms with me, because all before I always would put other things and people in my household before me. I would make sure everybody's taken care of. By the time I sit down and eat at night, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock. And I get up in the morning, I just do it all over again, just repetition. And you want a person on your team. You want a person on your team when you're married. And you can feel when someone is not on your team and you doing the majority. And so I got tired. I can feel myself getting tired. But what I did this time around, unlike all before, trying to get counseling, talking with this person. So this time around, I came to terms with Velinda. I said, you can stay stuck, or you can get up and fight. But my fight was differently. I took all my problems, all my situations, all my crying to the Lord in prayer. And I began to fight on my knees. I began to fast. I began to pray. I began to seek God for my one self, as my mom can say. The one last time that I did go to my mom, she told me, and she looked at me and she said, Velinda, you remind me of Esther. Esther had to go before the king. And I knew the book of Esther, but I didn't really know the story of Esther. So I'm like, what's she talking about? A yearning in me for Christ. I wanted better for me. I wanted better for my children. And I wanted better for my future. And it's like I had a yearning inside. And I'll never forget, in August of 2016, I said, Lord, you can have this. I said, as long as everybody in my household, if you promise that I will see them in heaven, I say, I'm fine. I say, but you need to deliver me. Because what the enemy was trying to do was take my mind. But I knew I had to fight. I know what I was brought up hearing. I knew what love was, because love was already given to me as a child. I knew my parents loved me. I knew my parents treated me well. I knew my siblings treated me well. Yes, we might have fussed and fought, but we came back together. And you can fuss and fight with people, and you can still feel love in them, because they're not there to hurt you or harm you. You're just having a disagreement at the time. And so I wasn't feeling that in this in the marriage that I was in. I'm talking about me. I wasn't feeling that. I wasn't getting that consistency. I wasn't getting that honesty. When someone, promised you something, or, I had a yo-yo roller coaster up and down situation going on, and no one could help me. I had exhausted all my resources. It was gone. I got in a box, and God allowed that to happen to me. I was desperate for a change, and He allowed for it just to be no one else but Him. All the wrong roads that I've taken in life, because I have to start with me first. I want to blame myself. I want to blame my shortcomings. I want to blame getting off track with God. That's why I always remember Pastor Tim. He preached a message one time, and it just sticks and stays with me, when he said, watch your innocent steps. I was just going along innocently, minding my own business. Wasn't looking for a man, wasn't thinking about a man. But the enemy know what lies ahead. He know that you have a heart for God, just like David did. David was minding his own business. He went up on the rooftop, and there was beautiful Bathsheba. I remember praying that prayer, and I really felt my prayer, it connected with God, because my heart was open towards Him. Now, that was in August. But it took until December, August 2016. I knew what love was about. And if that was love, I ain't want nothing to do with it. Simple. I want nothing to do with it. My parents loved me. I already knew from a child that God was love. God has never failed me. And I'm a fighter. I stayed in this for 17 years, and I didn't stay because, just was something to do. I really did. I really did love my husband at the time. I really did. But we were just two different people. And that was not my husband from God. That was something I did. That was not my ordained husband from God. So I don't fault him. I can say many things, but for what? God has brought me through that, and I'm not giving the devil no glory at all. And my kid, like I said, my children were getting older, and I didn't like the surrounding. So I began to seek God. And when I did, He came through. In that space of a window, it was about this big. And I took it. When I came back from South Carolina, everything God told me to do, I did it. And He came through. I didn't have to call mama. I didn't have to call daddy. I didn't have to call none of my sisters or brothers. I didn't have to go seek out no counseling. Everything God told me to do, because God will give you a way out. When you keep crying after Him, and when your heart is sincere, God will give you a way out. I was going through divorce during this same time. I was dealing with my mom. She was getting, sick and things like that. She just died. I got a call from my sister, Velinda, and she was talking like in a not so strong voice. And I was like, Nita, don't do that to me. In my heart, I knew, but I said, what is it? She was like, and then she was like fumbling the ball a little bit. I'm like, no, what is it? Just tell me. And she said, come to the hospital. I said, and I had just put the girls to sleep. My body just literally got weak. I'm going through all this and stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, Jesus. But I still felt the Lord prepare me for me, because he had prepared me for many things. My brother-in-law died in November 2016. I filed for divorce like a couple of weeks later. My mom is sick. She in and out the hospital. I'm working. I'm helping her. I'm tending to the kids. I'm trying to keep my head above waters. And then all at the same time, you know, life is slipping. I can feel a great change. I can feel a great shift going on, all at the same time. But God had me to Monroe Regional Medical Center, and I got there. I never seen so many people in my life. How did that get around that fast? It felt like I was walking through Hollywood or something. There were just people on both sides. I couldn't even hardly see them, but I just remember all these people in the waiting room. I just remember my brother had to reach through the crowd after I walked in the door to pull me through them. And he just was holding my hand. My brother Tim, oh my God, I thank God for Tim in many ways. In many ways, Tim has looked out for me and has just been there for me. For me and my girls, him and his wife. And I thank God for all my brothers and sisters. Everybody has been there for me and my girls throughout this journey. And I just sat there on the end of the bed where her feet was. And I just began to rub her legs. And I just wanted to feel her. And I'm glad she was still warm. She hadn't gotten cold or anything like that. And I just began to rub her legs because I was like, oh my God, Mama is gone. I never thought I'd see that. We just sat and watched until the people practically kicked us out. They had never seen nothing like that before. Even the nurse, she came up the house, she was like, I've never seen this many people before. Mourning someone that died, that was sick, and she died. And my sister Karen was there for me in a way, in a big way, because she had just lost her husband. So now we're the two single girls out of 17 children. We're still the two single girls. You know, she lost her husband, and then I was divorcing. And then my best friend, Aisha Jackson, she was there for me in many ways, more than one. Auntie Candace, she my sister, she's like my mom, all at the same time, because she reminds me so much of my mom. But my sister-in-law Candace, which is my brother Tim's wife, they were there for me like no other. I just thank God for the love from all my family. And my dad is still here for me. I appreciate my dad. I really want to thank God for him and my sister Nita, making sure that we had what we needed to keep pushing. So I was about 23, I want to say. But I was living with my boyfriend, whom I was not married to at the time. And we were together about 15 months, but a lot of things happened in between there. Like I said, I was young, naive, didn't understand all this worldly stuff and all that coming from my parents' home during that time. Many things happened, disagreements, physical altercations, and lying, dishonesty, you name it. So anyhow, I had got that. I have to keep going back to that. As far as just me growing up, I had love. Love plays a big part. You know when you in a situation that, this ain't what I don't like it. I even had a dream one night, and this was one of the other things that got me to this question you're asking. I had a dream one night. I was living in sin, and we were asleep. I was asleep. And I had a dream I was falling. Oh my God, I was falling in that dream. There was no bottom. All I could see was darkness. I was so scared. When I woke up out that dream, I grabbed him. I was like, oh my God, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. Now see, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. That's all gonna come out you. Yep. You might be in sin, but whatever was rooted and grounded in you, it's gonna come out. So I was like, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus. I was just glad to grab hold of somebody. It wasn't a good fall. It was not a great fall. So moving forward, I still would go to church. I still would get in my vehicle and I would come to church. I didn't live at home anymore, but it was still something about getting up on a Sunday morning, coming to church. I didn't come every Sunday because I would go with my boyfriend places and things like that. but I couldn't get far away. That was something about it. I couldn't get too far into darkness, but I was in sin. And one particular Sunday, I came to church. I went up for prayer because things wasn't going good in my surroundings, in my life. I didn't like situation. Like I already said some things that I was heavy, I was hurting, I was in pain. And so I went up for prayer that Sunday. And this was probably in 99. And I got prayer, and I just wept and cried because I knew it seemed like I was trying to make my mind up. You know, what you gonna do, girl? You know, giving my heart back to God. You know, at one time, you know, he was in those streets, and he was, you know, physical, hands-on at some times with me or whatever. And I just got tired. I got tired of the whole life in general. God was knocking at my door, and I could feel it. And one day I was at work, and I had made up my mind. Seemed like the night before, I was like, I want to be saved. I said, I can't do this anymore. I got to come back. I felt like I was a prodigal child. And so I called the place, and I said, hello, can I speak to Timothy Wilkerson? He came to the phone, and he was like, hello? And I said, hey, Tim. He said, hey, girl, you all right? And this is what I love about Tim. He kind of like a big brother to the rescue type person. And not shunning none of my other brothers now. I love them dearly. God knows I do. But Tim is a fair. He reminds me of the, in the Bible, was Solomon. Solomon.
Wise.
A wise king. He's a wise king. He's a just king. He's not taking no sides, but you're going to hear the truth. And I prefer to hear the truth over a lie any day. Even if it hurt. That's just the way I am. Give it to me raw, and let's get it done. Let's do what we got to do. Let's duke it out. So he said, you all right? I said, yeah. He said, well, what's going on? And I said, I want to be saved. I said, I need to be saved. I can't do this no more. He said, all right. He said, all right. You can be saved. I don't remember what all he said, whatever, but that was the end of my new beginning. I ended up moving back home for a week, and then I did get married a week or two after that.
What made you go ahead and make that decision?
That's a good question. Knowing what I know now, that's why it's not good to, when I spoke on attaching yourself, be careful. You know, especially if you grew up in a Christian home and you were taught right from wrong as far as spirituality. And even some natural normal things. But strongholds are real. Soul ties, it's a real thing. When you get yourself attached to people or a person, it's not easy to break off. When you've intertwined, you know, sexually or whatever, the Bible speaks of that. And when you mesh with people and that is not of you, and that's where the enemy comes in at. See, God even already map out your husband for the future. Honestly, God care about what you care about. God will give you the desire of your heart. If God is concerned about what we're concerned about. But sometimes we jump ahead of God, and sometimes it's not even intentional. I think mine became a laughing and talking and having fun, and it just came about after some months. That's why you have to be careful of your surroundings. That's why I mentioned that. Soul ties is real. The enemy is real. He is out for keeps. And when you try to get away, you don't know how intertwined you was until you try to break something. It's hard to break.
You can go back to that 21-year-old young lady. What would you tell her?
I would tell her to follow the path that she know is 100% the right path. I would tell her to follow your dreams within. I would tell that young girl, don't settle for a counterfeit. Don't settle for counterfeits. Counterfeits can be people, places, things. Counterfeit can be a broader things, not just a person. Don't allow the enemy to trick you. Stick with God. Follow the leading of God. Know what your parents taught you and put in you what is the truth and was the truth. You know, when you feel weak, when you feel low, seek help. don't just settle less of what you know you are greater of. I have dealt with anxiety and depression. I didn't know how real it was until it hit me. The greatest anxiety and depression that I dealt with when I really knew how real it was, before I really knew a whole lot about it. Because when we was coming up, I think we was just living. Those was just the best of times. If anybody was depressed, it wasn't us. So the cares of this world, I found out what it was. The world don't care about you that much. It'll lift you up, but by golly George, when you do something wrong, it's gonna put you down. We see it in life all, every day, especially with celebrities. You done something great yesterday, but you do something bad today, you're gonna see them thumbs go down. So you can't lean on the world for help like that. By talking and opening up, and then when God gave me a way out, and I sought people that I trusted, including my parents and things like that, to talk to. And even though things can be shameful, it can be hurtful and painful, you have to find a way to get through it. And my greatest depression time was 2010, when things happened, and my husband and I split up. I think that was the second time, and it was very hurtful and painful to me. Things that I heard, things that I found out, and just the things that just was very harmful to me. The devil was trying to take my mind, and I just remember being in this state where I didn't want to live anymore, and I found out not so much in a suicidal state, but I wanted the pain to stop, which caused me to turn off. I wanted to turn off something, turn off these demons in my head. That's what I'm gonna call it. But it was a very great depression spell. God really saved my life 2 different times with that anxiety and depression. And it was just trying to take me out for what's going on today. Happy times, loving times. The devil don't care nothing about you. If I can tell one young person that and save their life, you have to stick with God. Do not settle for what God do not give you, and don't blame God for your downfall. He is not the author of that. He's not the author of confusion. If you stick with him, he will give you the desires of your heart. He'll give you the right car. He'll give you the right husband. He'll bless you with the right house. You do not have to settle for less. Depression, anxiety is real. The devil tried to take me out in 2010. Sitting on my sofa, and I was so depressed, all I wanted to do was sleep. So here I am going to take some pain medication that, how you get from a doctor, from a dentist or something like that. It was still laying around the house. And I didn't have no mind to kill myself or hurt myself. I wanted to just sleep. I just needed some rest. I wasn't sleeping at night. If I did fall asleep in the daytime, it was accident, sat down and something happened and I just fell off to sleep. But I just wanted to turn life off just for a moment. I didn't want to die. I loved my children. I loved my family, and so when I took one, I took another one, and I took another one. And then I just laid there and I began to feel myself getting weak and tired. And I can feel the medication working. And oh, sweet Josephine, BKA Bonnie, better known as Bonnie, the phone started ringing because I hadn't made it up to her house that day. People do miss you when you want to schedule to come to their house. She called me. I was laying there on the sofa. And she called me. And when she called me, I looked down at the phone, but I couldn't move. And then she rang in again. By that time, I don't know, God did something. But my backside came up off the sofa. And I began to throw up. And just throw up. And throw up. Yeah. And when I did call Mama, I got myself together enough to call her. And I said, hey, Mama, when you called me? She said, yeah, I called you twice. She said, what you doing? I said, I'm just home. She said, come up here to my house. It was like she knew something wasn't right. I don't know if God told her something. I don't recall her mentioning to me. But I got myself together, come up to the house. God will intervene. God know what's going on. Okay, a couple of months passed. I'm going to tell you how anxiety and depression work. The enemy wasn't done. I felt like Job. I literally did. I really did. A couple of months had passed. I was in that depression state. Just was tired. Many things that happened in between my relationship, like I said, and it just left me desolate. Even with people around, I still felt alone, going through a lot of stuff. And this was a Sunday morning. Same thing. I was laying there in the bed. It was still dusk off, but it was morning. And it was a Sunday morning. I just knew, I said, I ain't going to church today. I can't. I don't got no strength for that. And I was laying over on my side. And that same brown bag was, the medication. And I'm only sharing this because I want people to know that the enemy is out for keeps. But if you keep your eyes on God, young people, if you wait on him, he'll give you what you want. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these other things will be added unto you. But see, the enemy poke himself in when you walking alone with your little innocent, naive young steps. He'll show you something, or are you not even desiring anything? There's nothing. I wasn't desiring a man or anything like that when I was 21 years old. I was having a good time. Just graduated from college, was working my first job as in the medical field. I was really having a good time. But the enemy don't care nothing about that. And especially when you're a PK kid, he want to disturb. He want to bring you to shame. He want to bring your parents to shame. And so this was still in 2010, and I was laying there, and I saw that brown bag. And I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and take these pills. But I was too weak to even get up. But this is what I was thinking. I didn't have the mind that I have. And I was so weak. I was so tired. I was just so tired. And all of a sudden, I heard something. God woke my baby girl. I know what I know now. Not like now today, but I've been found this out. God had woke my daughter up, because my kids don't just get up. Even not in the middle of the night, they can go through the night. And that girl walked from her room way across the other side. Walked across the room, now I'm looking at her. She walked across the room. She climbed up on my bed. And by that time, I turned over on my back, because I was on my side at first, looking at the bag, like contemplating. She climbed up on the bed. And by that time, I laid on my back, and she got up on my chest. And she was in her sleep. I promise you, she was in her sleep. I could tell that girl was still under. But God woke that girl up enough to make it cross, just to come in my room. She climbed up on the bed. She got up on my chest, and she gave me the biggest hug. And she said, "Mama, I love you so much." And she went back to sleep on my chest. And I gave out the biggest cry, not like loud, but tears began to flow from my eyes. And I was never the same. I was never the same from that day. I knew God used that girl like an angel. And it reminded me of when I was telling my brother about this. He actually told me this. I was telling my baby brother the story a little later on. And my baby brother told me, he said, "Velinda, the way you telling this," and it was more to it, but this is all I'm gonna give. He said, "The way you telling that," he said, "that remind me of when Jesus went up to fast for 40 days and 40 nights. And Satan was tempting him. Tempting him with them 40 days and 40 nights.
So Jesus can be tempted.
So if Jesus can be tempted, if Jesus had to go to the cross and he never even sinned, who am I? I'm no match for the devil. But God give us the tools to fight.
Use the word on it.
Yes. You have to turn around and use the word. And I began to rebuke the devil. And I mean, when I tell you I was weak, but life began to hit my feet, and it came up through me. And I was brand new. I never thought of doing nothing like that ever again. And I said, if life put you that low, honey, you need to check yourself. Because when something or someone or circumstances make you that low, the way you thinking crazy stuff in your head and the enemy tap dancing on you, a change need to come. I was never the same. So if Satan can minister to Jesus, he can do it to you too. Don't never think you in such a great relationship that God not going to allow the enemy to test it. And I thank God for bringing me through those days. That's when I knew who my children was to me. That's when I knew God gave them. That was a gift for me. And even throughout them getting old, and I thank God for bringing them through many birthdays. I thank God for my children being there for me, and I'm there for them. I never left them. They never left me. And I thank God for giving me the love to raise them, whether I had a husband or not, single or not. I thank God for giving me the strength to continue to raise them to be who they are today. None of us are perfect, but the perfect one lives inside of us. Oh, I am happy. I thank God for where I am because of him. I give him all the glory. None of me, none of me, none of me. But perseverance, consistency, being persistent, being honest with God, no matter what state I'm in, just taking it to the Lord in prayer. Forgiving, that was the greatest challenge. Forgiving. I'm sorry. Forgive me for my shortcomings, and I have run along. I'm gone. Yes, healing definitely comes when you forgive. If you don't forgive, and I want to say of anything, when you don't forgive, yeah, it's a cancer. It eats at you. And you also give other things, other people power over you. No, I've learned better. I found out that if Jesus had to go to the cross for me and my sins, you know, sometimes you have to take another person to the cross and leave them there. Say, you know what, Lord, this your child, or this your job, or this your situation. I can't handle it. But our job is to forgive, to love, to pray, and to seek him every day for better. He is definitely my father. He is someone that I can depend on. I found out that he don't fail us. We fail him. That's what causes problems. Sometimes we want to blame God for everything. No. No. I always say, Lord, not my will. Even when I'm crying and I want it to be my will. I mean, sometimes, oh, this is right. I know this what I probably should be doing. But then I be like, because God don't bring, you don't go back and forth when it's God's will. It's just his will. He gives you peace. He gives you peace in the midst of it. But what Jesus is to me, I try to stay open and honest with him. Just like I would want to stay open and honest with the spouse. Because when you stay open and honest with Jesus, because he already know, like he already know what I'm gonna do tomorrow. So, and he accepts that. He loved me for that. And he's very humorous. Like sometimes I be going along and I be like, I know people probably think I'm crazy, but I be cracking up and the smile be on my face as I'm cracking up. But I'm not talking to myself, I'm talking to the Lord. And so I do that on my knees. I do that riding in my car. I do that when he give me spiritual things on YouTube to listen to. I keep my mind in heavenly places as much as I can. Not always, because we are human.
But I appreciate this. I thank you for sitting down and telling your testimony.
Thank you so much. I hope it helps someone. God is love.